Welcome back to Director's Cut. This is our second installment in the James Cameron series. Join us as we traverse space, time, and sea. Everything from T2 into Avatar. Roll 'em.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Greg.
Welcome back to Director's Cut. So we left off last week at The Abyss, correct? With James Cameron? So this week... Jimmy C. Woo woo. So we're picking up this week with Terminator 2. Arguably his best film. Definitely the one he's the most well known for. Both in sci-fi circles and film circles.
And no, it's not just because there was a naked man to start off that time travel.
It's because there was a naked man. But it's also
Arnold
because...
Schwarzenegger.
But it's also because James Cameron, more than almost any other sci-fi director, dials into the rules of his sci-fi. So when it comes to the Terminator series, or at least the first two films, he sticks very close to the rules of sci-fi. So nothing that's done in the past changes the future. Nothing that's done in the future changes the past.
Yeah.
It's just this is the way things happen, and it seems inevitable when you look at it from a wide lens. But when you're in the moment, when you're Sarah Connor, you have to keep running in order to survive. You have to beat this Terminator. You have to team up with this Terminator. It seems like she has a choice.
But it's a little bit more involved than that. So the once Terminator is now the enemy. Mm-hmm. You know, he's flipped the script again.
Yeah.
Right off the bat. Like now, the person that she was trusting before on this T mission is now the terrorist, the antagonist, the villain.
Well, kind of. So the model of Terminator that hunted her in the first film has now been reprogrammed and sent back by her son to save her son. So Terminator 2, it plays with these dynamics, but they kind of explain that the reason John Connor sends that Terminator back is he remembered meeting that Terminator as a child. So he already knew it was destined to happen. So he found a way to make it happen in the future so that it would happen in the past.
And then he
creates the time paradox.
Yes. So now he has to create John Connor, bearing his seed, to kill that Terminator from the future, from the past into the future.
Right.
All right, James Cameron.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's a very wide loop, but it's a closed circle.
Yeah.
Nothing can be done outside this circle. You know, everything has happened and everything will happen. And is that James Cameron?
James?
Anyway, we'll just pretend he's not here. We'll pretend he's not here. So Terminator 2 really puts him on the map. After that, he did some movie called True Lies.
Yeah, True Lies. It was a big hit, actually. You know, they made a ton of money on box office from that one. But then he also used again Arnold Schwarzenegger, big Jamie Lee Curtis. It was a big deal. Not one of my favorites, you know, but it did make money and it did get him on the map again. He's also done a lot of shoddy filming before and after that. You know, I'm sure you'll talk about that a little bit. But True Lies was a big box office hit and made them a lot of money. Made him a lot of money.
Well, and again, sticking to his vein of sci-fi, right? So, moving on from True Lies, in '97, he really breaks the mold in his style, and he goes with Titanic.
The biggest grossing movie in the time.
It was the highest grossing movie until, I want to say the first Avengers, but I could be wrong. But I know it was semi-recent. So Titanic was a huge deal.
Huge.
So James breaks away from his sci-fi style and the things that he's really interested in. And he starts to explore some of the same stuff he explored with The Abyss, which is, you know, the mysteries under the sea.
Yes.
So he writes a movie about sending a submarine to the bottom of the ocean and exploring a wreck, which was a prophetic moment for his own career, which is immediately what he did for his next two films. Yeah. But with Titanic, he doesn't have a supernatural element. He doesn't have a space alien element. He doesn't have a sci-fi element outside of the robotics that were available at the time. He did a movie based in 1997 that was 1997. And it was a huge deal.
Made it a giant romantic movie.
Well, it's Leo DiCaprio, young Leo.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Romeo and Juliet young.
Yeah, yeah.
And then was that Kate Winslet?
Yep.
Just you got 2 smoke shows on screen. I mean,
You saying
It's gonna
you
sizzle.
want to draw a picture of me?
I always wanted to see these kind of conversations you'd be had off.
Oh my
mic,
goodness!
Greg.
All right, take it back a notch.
I don't draw pictures of Greg. So, like Leo, that part of the conversation needs to sink under the waters because we need to talk about James Cameron built a submarine. He designed a submarine,
Yeah.
and he kind of stepped away from filmmaking to an extent. He used his filmmaking to be an excuse to explore the ocean. So he designed a sub that went to the bottom of the Marianas Trench, and he really just kind of dove into his fascination with the ocean. And he dropped off the map for a while.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
20 years.
Yeah.
He was, because Titanic is 97, and then
Well-
Avatar is, what, 09?
Yeah. It's got to be right around there.
So for 20 years, he invested in, just exploring the ocean.
I guess he had Celine Dion's voice ringing in his head for that long. His fellow Canadian friend, Celine.
Yeah, yeah. So, side note, I discovered that right before this episode that James Cameron was Canadian, and I don't know what significance it has, but I feel like it means everything.
Celine.
Celine, Ryan Reynolds. So, yeah, another Canadian gem, Justin Bieber.
Oh, jeez. Here we go.
Anyway, Justin Bieber didn't sing in Titanic. Celine Dion did. Getting back to Titanic, getting us back on track. So he takes a break from film for 20 years, and then he comes back, and he's right back in his vein, kind of.
Yeah.
Because Avatar is so different from the rest of his sci-fi work that it's almost not a James Cameron movie.
Yeah.
It has more in common with Titanic than it does with Terminator.
Would you say that?
So I've said for years that Avatar is Dances with Wolves in space.
I love Dances with Wolves.
It's a great movie, but I'm not sure that it needed dinosaurs. However, when I say Avatar has more in common with Titanic, Avatar was a much more emotional conversation.
Yeah.
It was it was a much more
Okay.
emotional experience. So he brings his girl Sigourney Weaver back, and he doesn't have her fight aliens. He has her fight with the aliens. He brings in a relatively unknown actor to play his main character, to play his Kevin Costner in this story. And he gives him an emotional arc that, whether it's earned or not, it does evoke a response.
Yeah.
Because this becomes the hero not only of the human community, but of the Na'vi community on, well, I forget the name of the planet, but the Na'vi are the people. So it focuses much more on the emotions of the situation, down to the point where there's a love scene in it. But if there were a love scene in a movie like Terminator or Alien, it'd be kind of out of place. But here it makes sense because he's built enough of a progression with these characters to have that, all right, we can trust these characters together. Because realistically, when you put a love scene on screen, you're expecting the audience to trust those people together. And the audience has to trust the characters. The characters don't just have to trust each other. So in order to build that, you have to step away from the sci-fi side of things, and the sci-fi becomes a set dressing. Once we're established into the world, once we get through all the robotics and stuff, the sci-fi doesn't play a huge part.
The sci-fi is grabbing humanity, whether it be alien or, Homo erectus. It's the science is grabbing their need, their feelings, their love. So it's intertwined. I feel like I don't.
Yeah,
think it totally is the way you're saying it, but I
Well,
feel like it's kind of grabbing 4 or 5 different kind of types of what you're trying to say.
No, for sure. And maybe I should sharpen this up a little bit. What I mean is the sci-fi is the vehicle in Terminator and Alien. Because without those sci-fi elements, those movies don't exist. If you remove the time travel and the robots from Terminator, you've just got a naked Austrian chasing Sarah Connor. If you take the sci-fi elements out of Alien, you don't have Alien.
You
it's
always
just
got a way to
Sigourney
make
Weaver
things
hanging out.
sound better.
So if you remove the sci-fi elements from Avatar, what you have is Dances with Wolves, which unarguably is a good film. So you put Dances with Wolves in space, you're not opening up options for story, you're opening up options for visuals, which is exactly what we get.
Yeah.
We get dinosaurs in space. We get a race of blue people, the Na'vi, who have a very similar anatomy, but different enough that it's interesting and it pops on screen.
But he was kind of gifted that film, though, too, to my understanding, right? It was already written, waiting, ready to go, as far as just waiting for human technology to catch up with it.
Kind of,
Which is like a sci-fi challenge all its own, but
yeah. I mean, similarly to George Lucas with the Star Wars prequels. Okay. The story was there and ready to go. They just didn't have the capacity to film it at the time, so they shelved it until they had the technology necessary to do what they wanted. And I mean, for an IMAX film that was done almost entirely CG, it is stunning.
Yeah.
It's absolutely beautiful.
Colors pop. I mean, sound.
I have issues with that movie simply because it felt a rehash of a story, but if you take it by itself and you take it out of the cultural context and you like, if you show it to someone who's never seen Dances with Wolves, it is a phenomenal tale. You know, it's beat for beat, mostly the same thing. Yeah. So, I mean, I think every director has a rut, and I think this is just one because James Cameron signed on for like 4 more sequels.
Yeah, just waiting.
Yeah. So they have release dates assigned to 2 and 3, and this is just a passion project for him. So you can't fault him for, you know, loving that story. That's his thing. He gave us the Terminator series. He started the Alien series with Ridley Scott. I mean, he gave us.
Be able
really
to find him.
Find him?
Find him.
I mean, the Earth is 70% water.
That's
it's
what I'm
going to be
saying.
really
I think he's
difficult.
down there.
He's down there. Did you? Okay. Watch Future Man season 2. You'll find James Cameron.
You'll find him.
That said, if you like this video, let us know. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell icon so that you get notified every time we drop a new video, new module, whatever. Say goodbye.